Dark side.
You're dark
Anyway,
side.
are we live now? Are we live?
Oh,
I'm the
live.
Dark Knight.
We're live, sir, and we're telling the world that he never played KOTOR and he doesn't care about the Old Republic.
I really don't. I really don't care about the Old Republic. I really. Star Wars for me is always the rebellion versus the Empire. Nothing else matters in the Star Wars universe to me.
Mid-Geek Crisis.
Can you not even comprehend it? Did you see that?
I'm broken. I might
Did
be
you see
broken.
these beautiful things? Look at these.
So, did yours come in the mail? Do they normally come in the mail, or are those the ones that you bought after?
These are the ones that I bought after.
Okay, so the ones that we buy are will call, right?
The ones that we buy are will call. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Because I saw the people was like, I want that my badge. I want my badge. Yeah, they look like the South ones, but they say
No
East,
badges.
right?
I got badges, baby. I got badges all over. Just gonna put them down my pants before I give them to my brother.
This is deflection, by the way, folks. He talked about how he did not play KOTOR.
I never played KOTOR.
It's a good game, man.
I bet it is. I bet it is.
BioWare. Like it's all about. It's your Mass Effect love. It's like pre-Mass Effect.
I feel like there is like a fundamental misunderstanding about what Cautious enjoys about Star Wars.
I think we have all decided that the things you enjoy are like so minuscule that everything we talk about, it's like I don't like
I like a lot of things.
No, man, I'm telling you, like
I liked there's a ton of things I enjoy and I like playing. I like Celeste. I like Star Wars. I like The Mandalorian, right? Like
but it took you a little bit, right?
No, I liked it right away. I thought the finale was a little disappointing, but everything else was great. Because I don't like that it requires this in-depth knowledge of the Star Wars universe to appreciate the moment. Like I didn't really appreciate.
That's Dave Filoni, right? Like he's really digging deep. I think that's what that's what he's been doing. He's been really like he's looking at the whole universe as a whole and then picking that like little spot of the universe and then just scratches it. And lets you like he really digs at that one spot, and then you're like,
yeah,
but know about that one spot.
And the Marvel universe does this. Disney does this with their properties, and that they reward people who have been fans for a long time, right? So, and I get that. I don't really like it, right? I don't like because it feels like gatekeeping. It feels a little bit like excluding people who can't fully enjoy it because they never really explain it,
right? I can
I thought
that, but at the same time, we've had so much of it at this point. Like there are other movies for that. There's like I would get it if it was like a movie or a franchise that hasn't been touched in many years, and then you immediately jump into like a middle of a scenario where you have to know everything about whatever's going on. I get that, but when that argument is used 20 movies into a franchise, at this point you're like, well, like whose fault is it there? Like,
well, I mean, let's say you watch Black Panther,
right?
There might be a small scene or a moment where a character walks across the screen and you're like, oh, it's that guy. You wouldn't know if you never read the comics, right?
Right, but
and Black Panther's what, 14 in the series, right?
Right. My wife watched that. My wife watched Black Panther and she loved all of it.
I loved it too.
And she probably didn't catch all the little things, but she didn't have to. They weren't thrown for her.
Right.
They were thrown over her head. She enjoyed what she got. The movie wasn't.
I think the difference between what we're talking about here and what happened in The Mandalorian is that scene at the end, which I don't want to spoil,
don't
doesn't make any sense unless you have some background, right?
Fair enough. But yes, you're right. You're right.
Well,
there.
Actually, I just now clicked live comments. So sorry, I wasn't ignoring you folks. Legacy.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks for joining Rolls. We were arguing so much about Star Wars. I just never played KOTOR because I don't find the Old Republic to be interesting. It's not a universe. I've read so much sci-fi. I've read so much fantasy. I'm not interested in the Old Republic. Star Wars for me is rebellion versus empire. We
got 8 people in the group. Real quick. Welcome, guys, to episode 61.
And gals, and gals,
guys and gals. Thank you, y'all. I'm gonna start using that. If I missed it, music by here to 4.
That's right. Music by Heater. That's us. Yes, look at that. We got like sweet banners.
I wanted to kick it off, but we were in the middle of an argument before the show started. So
heated discussion. So
heated discussion. We jumped in it. We were talking about
I'm with you, Rolls.
Xbox games with gold. The free games this month were announced today, and I had to look. I was like, let me see what's going on. And they announced a few games that I never. Well, actually, I think all 3 out of the 4 I've never played. A motorcycle game, that TT Isle of Man, Call of Cthulhu, which I never played, Xbox One, Fable Heroes, again, kind of a weird kind of offshoot game of that. I'll play it because it's free. It came out on 360, whatever. But the one that I was excited for, I was like, they released Battlefront, the old original OG Xbox version of Battlefront, which was the Battlefront, which is the one that everyone liked. And then when we got the new one, everyone was like, oh my God, we're going to get more of that. And then we didn't. We got piecemeal trash. Right. Like, so.
No, was the original was like a solo player when it was
Battlefield. It was like the original.
It was like
Battlefield.
Those games where like all the soldiers follow you and the missions are shouting in your ear and you have to blow up stuff, right?
No, that one was more.
Maybe I don't know what Battlefront is at all. We should look this one up.
What's that one? That was the one. Squadron. That's the one with the clone troopers. The 4 clone troopers.
I doubt I played any game with clone troopers.
It was
good. To drive Legacy 7070 because I don't care about clone troopers.
Oh God, he doesn't care about the old Republic. He did care about clone troopers, but he's like, I like Star Wars. But I'm like,
clone troopers are weird, right? Because stormtroopers were great because they didn't have personalities. They would just mask you could shoot and lightsaber in half. Once they gave them personalities, it became complicated. And I really enjoyed Star Wars for it not being complicated. That's all. Yeah, I'm assuming I'm missing out on one of the best games in the universe.
Is it Squadron Commando? No, Commando Squadron. Oh God, it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. Look it up. This is why we need a producer.
So we're gonna talk
what
Star Wars.
What was the name of the game?
We're gonna hit Star Wars running. We're gonna hit Star
Wars. Legacy 77. Give us the name of that game, the Clone Trooper game.
Yeah, look it up for us. Be our part producer here for the show.
Yeah, I do it on his show. Legacy's coming over from Brother Sister.
They just finished. They were streaming Mario 64, right?
Mario 64, which has got me like wanting to think about retro games a little bit because we go back and forth all the time on retro games. I do. There it goes.
Republic Commando. Thank you. Did you play that? Did anyone play that in here?
I didn't play it.
So it's 4 clone troopers. And the 4 players that you play as all have different personalities, and they've all got the masks and different color stripes on their masks. Sure. So of course they're all the same person, but they're not, right? And what's great about Republic Commando is it came out right at the beginning of the whole Clone Wars like saga and all that, and so now we're getting like the final season for Clone Wars on Disney Plus soon. And I never finished Clone Wars, the animated, and what I've been loving about the Clone Wars show is exactly what you just mentioned that you didn't like, is they're making you feel for a lot of these characters, aka some of the clones, the particular clones, that there are specific clones that become characters in the show, and you learn to care about them. And they themselves in the show, like 3 episodes in, are like, people don't care about us. We're just clones. We're meant to be dispensed. We're meant to be just a disposable military force, and sure. that's not what happens. Like they do care about them. It's one episode where the General Grievous and Dooku have like this big weapon, mass warship or whatever, and they use like an ion cannon that basically like an EMP pulse that's blowing out.
I feel like it's the only episode I've seen like 10 times.
Right. Yeah. And then so like you got these clone troopers stuck in a short and they're like, no one's going to come out to find us. No one's going to come out to find us. They're rescued by
the mask guy. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, spoilers.
Right. But what I like about it is when you watch it, you're like, yeah, right. Like, who cares? But at the same time, you do care. And then you realize that these relationships start building upon the seasons with these clone troopers, and Master Yoda and Anakin and all of them become friends and make friends and kind of family with these particular clone troopers that we're supposed to not care about. So I think when you say stormtroopers, remember stormtroopers, not all the stormtroopers were clones. Eventually
it's only 20 years. Like it's literally no time at all.
But
between the Clone Wars and the
right. So a lot of them were. So I'd like to see them.
There's literally no time.
I'd like to see them touch on that. How many of them that fought alongside, like, the Jedi, fought all these battles, were able to just flip the script and follow what the Republic of the New Republic, decided to be, which became the Empire, just said,
Yeah, and what about the First Order? I still haven't seen the new Star Wars, by the way. I'm a disappointment to nerds everywhere. But
he's like, I love Star Wars, but I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. He doesn't like the new stuff. He doesn't like the old stuff. He doesn't like the pre stuff.
I enjoyed the new stuff. I really thought The Last Jedi was good. The third one didn't excite me enough to go see it, I guess is what's going on.
I'm gonna ban our producer already because he's like,
oh, really?
I like the last one. I don't like it. I have strong opinions about nothing. Shut up. I don't care.
Well, this is the Yang part of it, Joe, because we can't like everything, right? We've got to occasionally dislike some things. That's what.
No, but it's cool to dislike Star Wars now, right?
Well, it's okay to.
It's like Apple. Apple was cool to like back in the day, and then they became popular. Now it's
Dude,
cool to hate Apple.
I remember we both remember when Apple was made fun of all the time. Come on, Apple has always been made fun of.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, no, sure. They always made fun of they don't know how to right click.
They don't know how to right click.
I'm like, Apple's always had right click. What are you talking about? You guys are dumb.
Wait, do you have right click? I actually have no idea how to use a Mac.
Yeah, of course we have right click.
My wife has one, and every time she wants me to look at it, I'm like, nope, call the service. Yeah. Call them up. I don't know how to help you.
Call Joe.
Call Joe. All of Rise of Skywalker's good bits were overwhelmed by its mediocre bits. Yeah, you're right, Rolls. I do feel like I need to get a sense of closure, but I'll tell you what. Luke disappearing or dying, whatever happened to him, that felt like good closure to me. The Last Jedi was good closure for me. There you go. See,
that's a good hot take, considering that I think that's the most hated one.
Well, it's hated for dumb reasons, right? It's hated because it didn't deliver the nostalgia bomb of sugar and Star Wars garbage that J.J. Abrams has been delivering for Rose Tico. Yes,
dude, right?
Bring it on.
I agree with that. Man, you guys are so funny because I defended The Last Jedi like for a whole year last year, and everyone was giving me crap. Now it's the best one out of the three. I'm like,
no.
Is it just the best out of the three?
You're parsing it weird. The casino scene is garbage.
Right.
The rest of the film.
I wasn't defending the entire casino scene. I just said I didn't hate it.
Episode 21. Let's go back to the tape.
I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, but everyone was like, that ruined the entire movie. That ruined it. The movie's terrible. It's
Astronaut Go has always supported you, always lurked in the background supporting you, nodding his head in the back, like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's the way.
I'm okay with that. Thank you. Thank you.
It was, it's one of those movies I think that maybe in retrospect sat better,
right?
You've got to hate something before you come to like it. Isn't that the way we do things? Isn't that how it's done? You can't just like something right out of the gate. You got to hate it first, then you learn to love it, right?
I'm going to partially pay for your child's therapy.
You're gonna please start putting away money now. I don't.
You're like, I gotta hate it first before you love it. I'm like,
I did not enjoy the first 6 months of my child. That's just, I go on record. 6 months, it's horrible. It's the worst. I understood why men used to go out, buy a pack of cigarettes, and never come back. I'm sorry. Like it was not enjoyable the first 6 months.
Rolls.
I just thought the scene could have been edited out completely, and the movie would not have changed.
Yeah, right. You could have removed it. What I enjoyed about the scene is maybe just because I know everyone's like, I've read the books, I've seen the minutia, I've read the minutia, I want to see the action in my movie. I get that. My point of that scene to me was it was nice to see that supposedly, again, I read into things, right? Like that's kind of how I do things. And I'm supposed to believe that this entire galaxy's at a ginormous war. They're having this war that's tearing apart people, tearing apart families, just planets are being destroyed. You just had Starkiller Base blow up a couple planets a year ago, whatever. But yet here you have a whole entire planet, an economy still going where the rich still get richer, right?
Sure.
And it's nice.
And the only way we can enjoy the impact of that is by sending the two minority characters on a mission they're inevitably going to fail.
Right.
Like that's the only way we're going to enjoy it.
Right. So you walk in and they're like, oh my God, look at this. This is awesome. They see all this opulence. And they're like, "Are you serious? Like this is going on? Like there's gambling and like frivolity and mass rich billionaires making." I'm like, hit close to home. I don't know.
I guess I don't. Yeah. I mean, Yeah,
I don't like my reality and my Star Wars. Like, I mean, that's the way it is, right? Like,
well, I liked Rogue One, right? So there was definitely a lot of reality there, a lot of hot takes on the terrorism aspect of the rebellion, right?
Yeah,
and I liked that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
but that's, I mean, for me, the pure Star Wars is that particular trilogy, the time zone around it. So yeah, well, I mean, plus, like, you know, they went to bars. They all enjoyed stuff.
So will you be ever excited for Star Wars again, or are you done with it?
I mean, I'm excited for season 2 Mandalorian, right? You know, I'm excited to see them do new things. I'm really excited for them to be done. I hope, please, Lord Jesus, please, just done with the Skywalkers. Just done with the 9-movie arc of the Skywalkers. Like, I hope, like, there's no more pressure, that we could just see X-Wing shoot TIE fighters without one or the other of them being piloted by a Skywalker, right? That's really what I want. I want us to move past the nostalgia of that and just do new things in the Star Wars universe. I want to see droids mess stuff up. I want to see more assassin droids mess things up, because that's one of the best scenes in The Mandalorian, right? So that's what I want to see. I want to see more of that.
Which is why Mandalorian.
That's what I did when I was a kid, right? I was like pew 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 pew, and I just shot up all the stormtroopers.
Which is why Mandalorian, like what I liked about when I saw Mandalorian, I was like, oh man, this would be right up Cautious' alley, because I was like, this is kind of what he likes. He likes this kind of stuff.
I like it. I like it. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. Again, like, I thought, like, the sad part for me is the part I enjoyed. The parts I enjoyed was pretty much everything until they started referencing the rest of the Star Wars universe, and I was like, now I gotta go and ask my friends who watched 75 million episodes of this stuff and knows everything, right? That's what I'm a bit. 50 years from now. That makes me.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave? I don't understand, Rolls. No, I agree with you. They're probably going to do it, and you know what? You know what? I'm okay with it.
Dude, yeah, of course you're okay with it.
give me hologram Tupac in a concert so I can go watch him.
It's good. I mean, like 50 years from now, I'll be hopefully dead, right? That's a.
There's going to be a trilogy set in the future where there are no Jedi, but instead are called Skywalkers.
Because they can literally fly through space like Leia, right? That's what we want. This really enrage everybody. Oh, spoilers! Can I talk about that movie and its ending yet? Can I talk about The Last Jedi's ending?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. That one I could talk about. The new one.
That's because no one liked that one until now.
You know what? Maybe people liked it because the third one didn't deliver as hardcore.
It was never going to deliver. I walked into that movie going
hologram Tupac and Biggie. Hologram Tupac and Biggie.
Oh, dude, I would awesome. Right. I'd pay money for that.
You know, I saw. Was it hologram Hendrix at the Woodstock that they burned down the stage? That's the one. I was at that, and it was impressive actually seeing the Hendrix on stage. I mean, like a hologram Tupac.
That's a Futurama moment.
Would be impressive. Actually.
But like it's just like Hendrix the head in a jar, and then like
no, it was like a light show that.
No, I get it. Just saying, like it's very Futurama.
It is very Futurama, and then we burned down the stage, which is also I did not burn down the stage.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Already in my car driving away because we had to get out before the parking lot got.
One of my favorite episodes of Futurama is the musical guests were always great. Beck is on the episode, and Bender gets
Bender has he's like paralyzed.
The paralyzed, so he gets he's got like the ribs, but then he starts making music with like all the tears in his body. And my favorite, the quote to this day is Beck uses his Bectionary to look up more lyrics, because like, what is an odelay anyway? And it's like, I need more words. Pull out the Bectionary, and he pulls out the book, and it's just this big dictionary with all this like random made up words. Love it.
It's a good joke for music lovers.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite might be the episode where Bender decides he wants to be a chef, because it cracked me up when it always cracks me up when he puts the dishwater in the food to like top it off, because he has no idea what food tastes like.
Right.
Like the idea of a robot. It's like, that's right.
So good. Yeah, that show again. We were having a conversation. The wife and me were having a conversation on the way back from dinner, and again, Futurama is a great show, and it it's funny and sad how a lot of the jokes that they make in that show apply now, and you're like,
still land today. It's amazing that they still land.
But they land in like a bad way because it's supposed to be the future, and we're like making fun of the future on how things are probably never going to be, but they are, and then they do turn out that way, and you're like, oh my god, right. Yeah. I was talking to her. I was like, King of the Hill is one of those shows that is I didn't appreciate then, and I watch reruns of it now, and I'm like, oh my god. And as a Texan, it's fantastic. And what's great about the show is it's Mike Judge, right? So, Beavis and Butthead, lore, whatever, wrote it. And the show is all about this Texan guy who's probably supposed to be like a conservative, but he always hits that wall where conservatism is stupid all his beliefs end up getting thrown back in his face with like modern reality. And then he ends up not just kind of realizing that his ideas and his method
Damn it, Bobby.
Yeah, just turned back into his face. And I'm like, man, that's a show that deserves to be back now. Like, I would love to see more of that in this world nowadays, because seeing his like mentality and the way he would like kind of approach things would be fun. I don't know.
I feel like Mike Judge was always like one step ahead of the curve.
He was, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. I watch the show now and I'm like, great. Like the one episode where he goes and builds houses with Jimmy Carter. Mm-hmm. There's a great episode where he decides to go build houses with Jimmy Carter. And I'm like, and Jimmy Carter's in the news, and just like a lot of like that, like the distillment of like how he is and how he's really a nice guy and whatnot. I'm like, man, like I get it. Like I get it now. I get it.
I'm older and I'm a dad and I live in Texas. This all makes sense to me.
So makes sense. God, Bobby. I totally get it. I get it. So yeah, that's a show that I guess should come back. So
dude, we're almost between Legacy 77, me, you, and my brother V. We're almost the 4 people standing in front of that fence. For the record, V's definitely the conspiracy guy with the pocket full of sand. Right? That's
pocket sand.
Pocket sand. Exactly.
So that was one thought, and I feel like this episode we're talking about nostalgia a lot because we're going to be talking a little bit about retro games later on. But that's a good topic here. Anybody in the comments? What's a show that you want back? Obviously, we're rehashing, right? Everything comes back in full circle. I think we are the nostalgia generation. I mean, Picard just started. I mean, the last episode I named it. Didn't even reference the show, but I named it There Are Four Lights. Yep. Picard is back, and we've had new Star Trek shows. I follow a lot of Star Trek groups. I'm a secret Trekkie. I had no idea. You had no idea, right? I'm a big Star Trek, but I actually don't project it as much as my other fandoms. But I do love it, mainly because I'm not as good with the minutia, and Star Trek really is about the minutia.
You just reverse the tachyon beams.
That's right. But and also I've been wanting to. It's a slog trying to get through some of those shows.
Wait, Rolls Sopranos? Sopranos, really? Huh.
We'll talk about that. But so Picard is back, and I've been hearing the comments that Picard is back, and everyone's like, "Oh God, it's so great, it's so great." But Star Trek fans haven't been without a Star Trek show for a while. Like they've got Discovery, and yet they talk about a show that like divides, kind of like how Star Wars is now.
Do you want to know why I hate Discovery with the heat of 1,000 suns?
Well, besides that, it's on CBS All Access.
It's the only reason.
Really?
Literally.
Well, I mean, that's where Picard is too. So I guess
Yeah, I hate Picard too.
Look,
hot take. Why are they streaming?
so it's.
I don't even know.
It's old man yelling at clouds.
You asked these folks about these shows. What is Reboot? I don't even know what that is. That's a show? Is that a cartoon? Man, Reboot? Is that the cartoon?
Yeah, Reboot. They did. Okay, so Legacy. They did bring it back. It did come back. So it was gone. It was gone for a very long time, and then they brought it back for the final 2 seasons, and the 2 seasons are fantastic, great stuff. Where you got old Bob and whatnot.
Wait. Is he making a joke? He wants to reboot. Is that the joke he's making here?
Yeah.
Oh, boo.
Wait. The one good thing about Canada, I beg to differ. There are more good things about Canada than you know what? That's
kids in the hall. Kids in the hall.
Let's
bring back Kids in the Hall. Let's bring back a comedy variety show.
Letterkenny right now. Everyone's freaking loving that show.
Is Letterkenny Kids in the Hall though? I can't.
No. Letterkenny is kind of like that riff. It's Canadian rednecks is kind of what it's about. Well, that show's all about it. Everyone's quoting it right now, but it was like a web series like 10 years ago, and I've been watching clips about it. I used to watch it online on like Crackle. And like all
no one doubts your hipster cred.
No, I know. I was talking about it with a friend of mine. I was like, man, I don't want to be all like hipster cred about it, but I'm like, I've been watching this.
Welcome aboard, GLF.
So let's come back to roles real quick. So the West Wing. So that's funny. The West Wing. How would that play out now, man? Like with the state of like the presidency now, like do we want to set it in that type of presidency, or do you want to go back to the nostalgia of like what the West Wing presidency was?
So I don't know, man, because like I watched the West Wing, and then I watched like a season of West Wing, and then I watched like a season of Veep, and I just recently watched a season of Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, like even that show seems dated, and it just came out 3 years ago. Like I don't know how you can make a presidential show the same anymore.
Carlos, what's going on, my buddy?
Succession is like a family, like it's like a rich person show, right? Isn't Succession like a rich person legacy show?
Yeah,
handing down the money.
Yeah.
Tired of
Sopranos, man. Sopranos. I tried to watch some episodes of The Sopranos now, and boy, that
did it age well? I don't know.
I don't know if it aged well. It's definitely a show of its time. It definitely like I'm offended by it, but only because but like you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those shows that I know what it was supposed to do at the time. And I mean, obviously Tony Soprano is problematic in his own right, but like
Rose wants the Alan Sorkin speeches, right? He wants the good feel of people doing the right thing. I get it. Watch Designated Survivor. You might like it. That feels like a nostalgic show for when presidents made decisions that weren't political.
Man, Rose,
he says it did not age well, Sopranos. I mean,
yeah, right. It did not age well. It didn't.
I will say that to the Sopranos' credit, it's one of the first shows I think that the whole world watched at the same time. Like it's one of those
it was one of the first. It was Lost pre-Lost. And I say that because Lost was the first, like one of the first like shows that followed a story on actual like not premium cable, no subscription needed kind of thing, and it followed like a deeper story. It wasn't Jag where it was like catch the guy, you know.
It wasn't episodic. It wasn't even X-Files.
It was episodic,
didn't really deliver that same sort of X-Files did, but really to a certain crowd. But I feel like The Sopranos was one of those shows that people who weren't obsessive watched. Like everyone watched it. I didn't watch it, but everyone watched it.
Yeah.
And The Wire was great. I watched the first season of that. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, Newsroom. So the opening of Newsroom, that's a tough one. I remember a scene where he's
that clip that with Jeff Daniels that gets thrown up every so often, like, oh, this is the best thing. And I'm like,
the best thing ever. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, when you're not brown.
Again, hot takes tonight on the
I see that and I hear it and I hear what he's trying to say, but then it comes off as like, I don't know.
All those shows are, dude. All those shows are.
But what angers me is that like that gets thrown back out our face.
He's basically like America sucks.
I know it does, but yeah. Anywho. The Wire was so those are pretty like hardcore shows that came out as we became adults.
What if my answer was Married with Children?
So that's a good one, right? So that shows.
Dude, I tried to watch it today, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is problematic."
All in the Family is kind of that way too, right? Like it was problematic. But then we got All of the Family. We got Family Guy, which is exactly the damn same show animated.
It's a shame that we live in a world where Family Guy got more seasons than King of the Hill, right? Like it's weird. It's a weird world we live in.
Family Guy, I grew out of Family Guy really fast.
Yeah, dude,
like that's a show that I like laughed, and then I was like, no, wait, no.
Yeah. No. And then the Orville, right? I watched the first season of the Orville, Seth MacFarlane's Star Trek show. And after the first season, I was like, oh, this is why Star Trek isn't this way, right? It just doesn't, the joke that can't last. It isn't funny after a while. Oh, well, yeah, Married with Children can never be made today. No way could
it can't. But what's interesting about Married with Children is, you know, I don't I'm not saying it was smarter than what it was. I'm saying that you're meant to you're meant to feel sorry for Al, but at the same time, you're supposed to know that like Peggy is smarter. That Kelly was kind of like way ahead of the curve. Like
right, and here is he squandered his whole life. He just squandered his
future. His fault. He is the guy that got the job at the shoe store. That
self-sabotaged his way all the way.
He's the guy that like relives his high school glory days, and people go, "Oh, he's so great." I'm like, no, that's the point. Like he's not.
Hot take. I feel that way about Rick and Morty. People idolize him, and they don't realize at all he's not someone you should idolize. He's the bad person.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Hot take.
No, not a hot take. You're getting it, but then there's people that don't get it. I kind of want to put that. This guy gets it. You know,
this guy.
With Rick, he's like this guy gets it.
Guy gets it.
Rick, and that was great. And what's funny is the newest season of Rick and Morty really kind of points that, like, I'm not someone you're supposed to idolize. He constantly says that, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's so great." I'm like, no, he's constantly telling the crowd, like the camera, he's telling you guys, don't idolize me. I'm not like I'm a whole.
He's a wretched, unhappy jerk.
Yeah, I'm an unhappy jerk, and that's who I'm supposed to be.
Oh, and he's ruined Morty, and Morty. It's just terrible.
Archie Bunker is the greatest character in TV history.
Are we thinking about a different Archie Bunker?
Show me the receipts, Rolls. Let's tell me why. Like what? I mean, like I get he was problematic, and like at the same time, like I get that he was supposed to be like the morality.
In a world without Homer Simpson, you might make an argument for Archie Bunker, but with Homer Simpson out there, I don't think there's going to be a greatest TV character in history than Homer Simpson. That's me. There you go. Maybe Rolls was trolling us. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Trolls a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing to me is Rick and Morty. It has a D&D supplement, so it's not just bros. Like it's not just bros.
There's geekery in it.
It's birds. No, I don't know if that doesn't work. Boards. I don't know. We take it back. Speaking of bros, Super Bowl, what is that? 2 weekends, 3 weekends? Are you ready for it?
It's this coming Sunday.
Jesus Christ.
Good job. He's on the pulse, guys.
Are you excited for it?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Fair enough.
I don't disagree with you. He had has he remembered for that? I feel like he's remembered for being an incorrigible, stubborn man who didn't want to change.
Right.
We all remember that episode of the classic TV episode.
Your entire arc is about him being an a-hole, and then like you try to redeem him by like the last season, kind of showing that he's like made it, or getting it. I get it, but
did he?
Mr. Rodgers is fun. So that's funny that you say that. Could we have another Mr. Rodgers? Do we have one?
Is he a TV? I guess he is a TV character. Do we have a Mr. Rodgers? No, we don't. There's no.
Can we have a Mr. Rodgers in the modern age nowadays?
I don't watch enough YouTube videos of children's shows. I assume there's one out there.
My point is with social media, with scrutiny, with the people just picking and like dissecting every public figure, can we still have like here's an example is Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? At one point he was one of those like, oh, he's a good guy, he's a whatever, but then he kept opening his mouth, right? And he kept talking and he kind of dug his own hole. So now he's kind of a dick. And but at the same time, at one point he was like, oh, he's so great. Bill Nye is really cool, but he also is politically charged in a way, but that's fine. I mean, I don't know. Like, can we, with the way things are now, could we have someone as neutral? Could that version of Mr. Rodgers exist if we brought that nice guy into our universe now? Could he survive?
It's an interesting. I mean, that's an interesting thought exercise. I think Mr. Rodgers,
right?
Unlike Neil deGrasse's type, yeah, you're right, because we're bad people,
right?
We don't deserve Mr. Rodgers. Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that he could interact on social media. About 10 years ago, that could be construed as controversial.
Dude, you're absolutely.
But the thing is with Mr. Rogers is that we haven't yet done that, right?
I don't think anyone wants to.
All the time he's been on the news, all the things written about him, all the people that interacted with him, you would think someone would have dropped something controversial about him by now.
Right, but we didn't have cell phones with cameras. We didn't have pocket recorders in our pockets all the time.
Someone would have said he said this if they were around.
But they can say it all they want, but we need the receipts, right?
We haven't even heard anybody saying it.
I know. Well, you're right. But maybe because they don't have any type of, maybe someone does have a story of like, Mr. Rogers got drunk real time.
It makes me sad to think that though. Like Mr. Rogers' fundamental guiding principle,
right,
was just be kind and love everyone, right, for who they were, which is this beautiful, wonderful thing. And I think
the last time someone said that, we crucified him.
But think about
welcome back, Tim. No.
Look at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Look at our role models today. Their fundamental principles are not be kind, right?
Bill Nye, and subscribe.
You like and subscribe. That's wow. That really, God, why do we do this? This is horrible. I hate everything about this.
Tim, real quick, just because you asked, you just came back in. We're talking about how the old shows coming back, trying to pull things back, and someone brought up Mr. Rogers. Could we? And I said, can we have a Mr. Rogers? Can we have a Mr. Rogers nowadays with the state of social media, with the state of public nitpicking, with just like Rolls made the comment a minute ago saying, if Mr. Rogers were around today, probably would have dug up a tweet from 10 years ago and be construed as controversial. Like, that's the thing. Like, we can't have nice things. Like, the quote doesn't make any more sense than that. We can't have nice things because we destroy things. A perfect example to this with the horrible news of this week.
I mean, we crushed Elmo. Yeah, definitely.
We destroyed Elmo.
We sold Sesame Street to HBO. That's how cynical world we've become.
Right. A perfect example is, the basketball legend, great, awesome player, Kobe Bryant, passed away.
Very good player. Yes.
Very good player. Really good human. Actually, well, hold on. He did lots of things in his later life. He had a moment. And again, this is where public media comes into play. I'm not defending him for what he did. I'm sure what he did was horrible at some point. We also have to remember, and this is not excusing him in any way, shape, or form, but I have to put things into context. He was allowed to come into the NBA and giving a multi-million-dollar contract at the age of 17.
Wow. So a lot of rich people made a lot of money off of him.
Right. But then he made a lot of money and made bad decisions with a lot of money in his first 2 seasons. I'm just saying, at 17, as a human, I did lots of horrible things. So when you try to outgrow that, when you die a tragic death and someone brings up the fact that, hey, by the way, this guy wasn't so good because he did this, is an asshole thing to do. I'm just saying people can grow. I'm not saying that you should forget the bad things.
People can grow, and let's not forget the bad things because we don't learn from them if we forget them, right? It's definitely a tragic death. I mean, he's young. He was young.
41, man.
41 years old. And that's brutal. And his 13-year-old daughter was there, and they were on their way about it, blah, blah, blah. Right. All of it is sad. It's always sad when someone dies. But also, we need to acknowledge the fact that someone out there was hurt by him. And now
we have to.
It has to be all dredged up again.
But
yes, because in order for us to speak truth to power, we have to speak truth to power. Kobe Bryant was a black man who made millions of dollars for white men, died, having done what he did, whatever. But if he had been caught doing what he did without the money and without the protection of people who were making money off of him, he would be dead. Right? Let's be honest here. He is a black man in a country that does not respect black men. And the only reason why he's getting any accolades or any credit or anything about him right now is because he made money for people who were already making money off of him. That's it. No one would have even heard of a really good ball player like Kobe Bryant unless people could make money off of him. And I'm sure he was a great guy. We all make mistakes. Lord knows I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And I'm glad I'm not super rich so people's noticing. I'm glad I wasn't on Twitter 20 goddamn years ago. Sometimes I worry about the forums I might have posted on.
Right. Man. Because
I've been cautious for a long time. And honestly, there are people I should apologize to. Like if they came out of the woodwork, I'm like, how do I apologize to them? Because there are terrible things I've done outside. And yeah, Kobe was 25, a 19-year-old. Like look, like the news.
Right.
You know, he did some stuff. He was an adult male.
He was an adult male. I'm not saying what he did was right.
But also, yeah, we need to remember the bad as well as the good. We cannot venerate the dead. I mean, I would do the same thing to Margaret Thatcher, right? Like I did the same thing to Margaret Thatcher. I was honestly like, she did a lot of bad things and she's gone. Like she's the immediate example I think of. And there you go. Ooh, Inshag, yeah, to desynthesize. Yeah, that's true. I know I am.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, again, and it's a hot take. We had to talk about it because it's the biggest news. But it
was shocking to me. I'll tell you what. I couldn't help but think, like, man, this is why you don't do things like that. Get in a helicopter or jump out of a plane.
All I can think about was this. Like the moment it happened, I sat there and I was thinking, I was like, this guy's 41 years old, right? We're not talking about the stuff that he did, but I'm talking about just in general his accolades, right? 41 years old. He joined the NBA at 17. So that means he was working for the man at the age of 17 onward. Not saying that he didn't have fun within those 21 years of play, but he played 20 years, 5 NBA titles, two Olympic gold medals, 2 MVPs, tons of sponsorship and endorsements and whatever, millions and millions and millions of dollars, 20 years. Okay. He just retired like 2.5 years ago.
No, that's the weird part.
So like what all I could think about was, that moment where you say, man, I'd sell my soul to do this. And like devil shows up and goes,
monkey paw,
right? It's like that moment. It's like, here's this guy that lived the life of like greatness, 21 years in the NBA at the age of 17, made millions of dollars. And then now you're finally out of the NBA. You get to like, here's my pot of gold. Go spend it. Have time with your family. Go do whatever.
So here's the lesson here. Don't wait until you retire to do all the things you want to do. And you're right, Tim. I don't know what the timing is for dragging somebody. My personal take is drag them every day, every single day, forever and ever. But, what else are you going to do? Crazy
right.
When he retired at our age. Yeah, no, it is crazy. It's not like he was a school teacher or bus driver or any of those folks that a cop, 20 years of retirement, right?
Some of us just started our career.
Yeah. Well, we call it a reboot. We rebooted.
Is that what we're calling it? Yeah, fair enough. We just we're rebooted. Yeah, no,
that's what we're doing nowadays.
Some of us are old adults that we're like, or young adults, I guess is what we're calling us now. Like we're going to be in our 40s, or we are 40, and like we just got our degree, we just got our PhD, we're just starting to like start a career. Here's a guy that spent his 20 years, his entire early adulthood, working to make those millions, and now he's like, oh, and the opulence of like, hey, I'm not going to get in a car to go to traffic.
Take a helicopter.
I'm going to take a helicopter, and then
sucks. Dude.
That's what happens. It's like, what? Sucks. Yeah, some of us are still waiting for a career. Yeah.
Oh, I got all the things to say to legacy, but I'll save it for when we're in
oh, man. Yeah. So yeah, man, like rest in peace. I hate it. I hate all I could think about was like the family and the youth and the fact that a lot of people lost their hero.
Yeah, no, totally.
A lot of people grew up. So student for life legacy. Oh my God. Yeah. So welcome if you're new to the show, but yeah. Man,
what else we got?
What else we got on the docket, man?
Thank you, capitalism. He's just looking up at that.
No, man. What's going on? Like, what's going on with you?
So I was watching Brother Sister earlier for Legacy. Legacy plays that game with his sister, those retro games, and they're doing Super Mario 64.
Right.
And it's interesting watching those games play because we lived them when they were out, and they were the new hotness. They were the dope hotness. They were things I was jealous of because I didn't actually own a system that could play that. It's so repetitive, man. Watching them play it is fun because they're chit-chatting their way through it. But dude, it's so weird that nowadays they're like, oh, it's all recycled content and blah, blah, blah. Old games was a lot of recycled content. He redoes levels over and over again to get those stars.
Right. So Mario 64 was one of the first hub world Marios where they gave you multiple big maps.
You're not wrong, Mello.
And yeah, man. Yeah, no, agree. Then just real quick, just to throw that up there.
Yep. That's the lesson we should all take from this.
Should all take from it.
Also, that capitalism sucks.
Yeah. No, so Mario 64 is, again, like I said, it's one of those big hub world games where they gave you one big level, and instead of programming multiple big levels, they gave you one big level and they just added the objective. They gave you new paths within that level. So Mario 64, the star gets dropped. There are different objectives in that same world. So
I know. I've been watching it play. So you literally go back into the same level over and like frustratingly for me, like watching him play, he gets the star and then he's got to go all the way back to the main hub and then go running back to the world he just got the star from and run back to and I'm like, this is like gamers nowadays would be furious.
They would, but remember, we got to remember
So
Mario 64 is the grandfather of the 3D platformer. Like there was no other 3D platformer.
And it goes to show that
we have moved on.
Yeah.
We've grown.
We've grown.
We've learned from our mistakes for sure.
Let's grow up and move on from Star Wars and Skywalkers, right? These are things that we need to grow up and move on from. I don't mean grow up as in stop playing video games. I mean maybe these games don't need to be that way. Hashtag communism. Love it, Mello. Love it.
Mello. So we met Mello at PAX South.
Oh, nice.
Well, I'll tell that fun story. I'll tell that fun story soon. But we met him at a after party kind of thing, and
love it.
Get some good stories for sure.
That's for Mid-Geek Crisis After Dark.
No, I think that. I think Mello could agree that was a pretty fun event that night. We had to help a fellow drunken compatriot get to his hotel. And,
this guy's being so vague. Was it
so
was it Joe and Mello go to White Castle? Is that what I was?
No, we did hit up Lulu's though. Big 3-pound cinnamon roll and
oh boy, that's
3 a.m. chicken fried steaks and random drunkenness. So like absolutely, that's PAX, man. PAX South. You got to come join us.
Man, I haven't had a chicken fried steak in 10,000 years. Holy cow! With like gravy, you had with the gravy.
Oh, yeah, gravy. They also have one called the Deputy that instead of gravy, it's nacho cheese and jalapenos on top of it.
What? I want that to be my last meal. That's guaranteed.
Did Doogie Howser steal my car?
Seminal film for us. Seminal film. And then we made Dark Souls. You're right. And
then we made Dark Souls.
So not only did we say we love Mario 64 and repetitive content, we want to make it as hard as possible. So we have to repeat it over and over again.
So I wanted to give a quick kind of an update or a quick. I was sent a wonderful, nice product by a company called Kaiko.
Kaiko. All right.
And they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're going to send you this. I'll be doing a review on it soon, but I'll just show it off real quick. This right here, guys. This little guy right here.
A plug and a fob.
It's a plug. It's a plug. So that goes into an original OG Xbox.
Oh wow!
And that will give you HDMI right there. So it's an HDMI adapter for the original Xbox.
How does that even work? How does that work?
So so this little box right there is got it probably. I mean, again, I'll probably touch base on it during the review, but this has probably got a component to HDMI like converter on there. So it's taking that analog high resolution 720 as high as it can go signal and pumping it out to HDMI. So testing it looks pretty good. It's a good it's a good replacement for trying to find. You
tested it on your original giant green box.
I did. I'll be making a video on it.
Can't wait to see that old workhorse come out of action.
Yeah, so good for sure.
You can get the controller out, right?
The Duke. I sit the bear sitting on my. It's like play some Halo.
Hopefully the servers are.
What was up with the original Xbox having the black and white buttons at the far bottom right hand corner? Like that, it's like Microsoft had never made a console.
Well, I mean, it was their first. They were like, let's just throw these on there. More buttons. It worked for the Sega Genesis, right?
Yeah. So I'm glad that with the 360 they moved those buttons, took them off, and moved them as second bumpers. So that's from the beginning of the bumpers. So.
And now we have to play with 35 buttons, and it's ridiculous. No.
Not the game playing behind me right there. That's all 2 buttons right there.
Is that number 2? I can't tell.
That's Super Mario Brothers 2, the Japanese version. I'm running it on my old twin Sharp Famicom right there. So it's got
this guy.
It's the Japanese Mario 2.
You gotta stream this. You gotta get the appreciation for these old retro games. Is what I keep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got that running in the background there, and it's running on a CRT. So you should probably see lines coming down on it because the refresh rate. Just
see, that's the kind of stuff I don't know anything about. The sort of love of the hobby that I don't appreciate or understand.
Yeah. We were talking last week on game preservation, and it's so funny because it's like people started talking about it more. I saw some more articles come into play.
That's because we have our finger on the zeitgeist,
running the pulse, pumping.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, so we were talking about game preservation, and sure enough, there was articles put up on multiple sites, multiple places, and one of them was definitely talking about, hey man, you gotta jump on some of these digital games and like either buy them or why you should always go physical. And I think there was a couple of there was some really good examples to it specifically, but we were talking.
Nothing beats the feeling of a hard cartridge inserted into your console. Also, I mean, we talked about it. I was just like, dude, yeah, Rochester Museum of Play is trying a little bit of game preservation. I think there's a lot of independent folks out there doing their own preservation. We were talking about this because I was like, what's the difference between downloading a bunch of ROMs and putting them on an SD card and preserving them that way, besides getting a Nintendo?
You're absolutely right.
Spending hundreds of dollars on a Nintendo game that, A, takes some space, and B, you might never get a chance to play, right? Because there's so many new games coming out every day with different takes and updated gameplay from Mario 64 and things like that.
Yeah.
But I will say that reading those articles after our discussion last week has made me reconsider the folks that do this, right? Like,
I'm going to find the article. I kind of lost it, but look, the point of the article was this: you should buy the games you love, the games that you really love. The ones that, even if they're small developers, go and find an official copy of it. Go find a physical copy of it. Because, again, there's a couple of examples here where developers aren't big, and game companies like Limited Run Games, which like I pointed out, I picked up a copy of River City. It's a big small developer. They're not making enough money to kind of keep these games on the shelf for long. And at the same time, they're going to go digital. And right now we live in an age where digital might stick around for other, for reasons. But there was a time where there were games that came out on digital, and now digital rights are going away. Who owns the copyright? Who owns the music copyright? Who owns this and that, whatever. And so an example in this story was, and it's a silly example, but it's one that kind of makes sense, is Tetris. One of the writers had bought a digital copy of an EA version of Tetris, or EA whatever, but apparently it was a pretty good version, and paid money for it. But as soon as you buy it and then you download it, there's a EULA, an end user license agreement that pops up that says, hey, here, whatever, do you agree? Yes, I want to play this game. Come to find out that EA has lost the rights to Tetris, to the mobile version of Tetris, and they're now the game will be unplayable after a certain date, even though you own the digital one. As a matter of fact, they pushed out an update that means that if you don't run that update, you could technically not run the update, but no one would know about it until after you run the update. As soon as that update runs, it basically bricks the app. It will then go, they've now put a time bomb on it that after a specific date, it will no longer function.
You know what this happened with recently? Dominion. Very good card game. Right. Digital app versions of it. There was a company that had it. They put out their app. Didn't do so well. It was a little clunky. They lost the rights. Someone else got it. So everyone who bought that first digital app, lost it. I think if you had like the big deluxe copies, you might have gotten coupons for the new one. Right. But really, you just lost access to your game. You couldn't play it anymore because it was all online. So, yeah, I'm with you.
There's small examples. It's harder to
you know what this is an example of why capitalism sucks, right? This is this is an example of why copyright is garbage, and lawyers have figured out a way to stifle creativity with copyright rulings and lawsuits and end user license agreements and all that stuff.
So
And yeah, got to support the smaller manufacturers out there. Otherwise, we wind up with 3 or 4 choices.
right.
Or in the case of video games, 10 cent. Right, we wind up with one choice.
Right, 10 cent, China, pretty much.
Yep.
So look, you brought up the question: what's the difference between buying, putting ROMs on an SD card and dropping them on a cart? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Besides the piracy of it.
That's
right?
the equivalent of digital preservation, right? So an example to that is, yeah, you might not own every copy, but you own maybe an EverDrive, which I talked about them on the show. They're cartridges that have an SD card on it, and you can play them on real hardware, but they contain a library of games.
Yeah, they've got backups of all of our games, right, Joe?
Right,
Just
backups.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to ruin your nice hard versions.
Right, whatever. But the idea is you have this physical copy, and that exists in the meat space. But the digital space is hard, and there's examples of games that have been there's examples of games that have been patched or changed later on. Games that kind of like they've been Lucased. They've been Lucased.
You know what gave that? Fortnite. I really enjoyed playing Save the World. I really enjoyed it, but they patched my fun away. All my fun disappeared with the way they patched it.
Right.
So now I uninstall it and play.
So that version of the game no longer exists.
Yeah. And you need VHS tapes of Star Wars. Well, nice. You brought it right back around to the very beginning of the show with this. Very nice. You think we haven't been doing this for 61 episodes?
I know, right? Right. Right back to Star Wars. No, but it's the truth, guys. Like, if
Lucas,
if you enjoy a game, please pick up a physical copy. There are games, again, I talked about it multiple episodes ago.
Same things for books. I mean, Amazon has been known to pull old versions of Kindle books out there and replace it and things like that. So just be aware of that for books as well.
With an authored, like a rewrite or a script or whatever, or maybe it's not the same. I mean, I get digital. You're susceptible to the fact that it is a digital book, but fine. If you love a book, buy the physical copy.
Or again, this is why I gave Joe my copy of XCOM on the PlayStation, because I know it will forever be preserved in his video game library. Look at that monstrously beautiful game. Greatest game in the world. Greatest game ever put out.
We're still looking for JC Flicks. We're still trying to figure out how to return this game.
Please don't.
Trying to figure that out. That barcode there for me and JC Flicks.
There you go. So
New York.
I guess that's a nice way to end it, right? If you love a game out there, you really should go out there and pick it up. You should pick it up, put it on your shelf, preserve it, because if it brings you joy, you should have it up on your shelf.
You should. And
perhaps I have a game or two that brings me joy.
Team Physical for Life. This is someone the digital age for movies is kind of the same way.
For the record, doing it physically is always much better, but it's just gonna keeping it clean.
There are many games that no longer are available just because nobody got enough of the physical. That's right. Mm-hmm. That happens quite often. That happens a lot with man. I talk about it a lot in the retro gaming industry, like the games that were overlooked, games that got small prints, got overlooked, and then someone played it and realized, oh my God, this is a fantastic game. Then all of a sudden the storm happens, and then that copy of the game goes up in super value. That's where things like EverDrive come into play. If you just want to play the game and want a physical copy of it, that's fine.
Want to go back in time and experience it? You can do that.
Lawnmower Man begs to differ.
I own that game, I think. Maybe I rented it from JC.
And there are some games that deserve to be buried in a New Mexico desert.
Definitely some games.
Not owning a physical copy. Are you not a fan of the Lawnmower Man? Right. That's an interesting topic right there on its own. Best Buy, you can't. There's only very few stores. I think Walmart, Target are the two big box ones that you could still pick up, like CDs, like physical copy of an album.
Noble. Some Barnes and Nobles have big. I mean, they're not a big box store. Right? I get what you're saying now.
Yeah. But but you're right. I'm confused. The Lawnmower Man reference. Someone throw it up on there for me, but I want to know. But
I'm out of my element. We're out of our element. That's Are
we talking about the new Invisible Man movie that's coming out?
There's a new Invisible Man.
Oh.
Next week we got to talk about Birds of Prey. We got to talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
That's my big question. Who is that movie for? I'm just trying to figure it out.
Me.
Oh, it has an intense sex scene in VR. That's right. That's what I remember.
God.
Wow.
Yeah.
There it goes. Let's go on that one. Best
People
Buy
go,
is so
people
fun.
go to Barnes and Noble for reasons other than reading magazines for free. Oh, that's awesome.
Bro,
That's
oh my
awesome.
God. You know what it is? It's like 2.5 hours of entertaining the kid, pretty much is what it is.
Let him go read the kid books, but not actually buy anything.
Let him touch everything and run around the whole store. And you're just
my
like,
God. Spend the only money you spend is at the Starbucks next door.
It's got a pretty good board game section. To be fair,
Now?
it's got a pretty good board game section. Yeah,
Now
I
it
know. I
does.
mean, the big ones have a pretty good board game section. I recommend it wholeheartedly for recommendations, and then go buy it from Amazon or your friendly local game store.
Oh God, capitalism sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks. Guys, thank you so much. I've done episode of 61. We're at 61.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share, chat with us.
Yeah,
Thanks, folks, for
absolutely.
listening. We're countdown into PAX East, so
that's,
if you're there, let us know.
The Alpha Man, cautious. Like, subscribe, share. Come on, you guys.
And gals. And gals.
And guys and gals. Yes, keep hitting me on that one.
I'm never going to miss it. I am never going to miss it because it's important.
Don't miss it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 61 in the can.
Be kind, everyone.
Be kind, everyone. Love you, love you, love you. Mwah.